Hi, welcome to Dreamgirl. This is lesson 3, and I'm really excited to have you with me still on this journey because today is all about the ego, and it's a great lesson for girls in particular because we are often able to detach a little bit better from a sense of pride, especially when it comes to purity of love and affection. We are quite comfortable in that space, even when we're not. So I think this is a lesson that is essential, key to our development, but it is also something that is very achievable to get kind of grips on. Now, the ego is something that um, controls us. It controls our minds to a great deal. And as we discussed in the previous lessons, especially in lesson 1, the importance of being conscious of what goes on in your mind, your feelings, your emotions, and your actions, so that we understand how we can manage ourselves better. I really like Eckhart Tolle when describing just the egoic mind and the pain body and what it does. So if you get a chance, listen to some of his audio or writings, because I think it explains really well how strong and how controlling the ego is when it comes to our spirit. And because we're focusing more on our spirit and the purpose inside of us in order to create happiness, we really need to be aware of where our ego is essentially butting in. I like to believe that as human beings, we have lived a life of distortion. We have lived a life of confusion, and that confusion is something that contributes to a lot of mental health issues. And um, having strong mental health means being in touch with uh, your needs and wants and desires, and be able to respond to those. It is essential that you believe that you have what it takes to make yourself happy. You have what it takes, regardless of what your history is, regardless of where you are right now, regardless of how depressed you felt in your life and how often, for how long, regardless of what medication you're on, regardless of your family or circumstances. You have it. You have what it takes within you to create an environment that makes you happy and fulfilled and satisfied. But for that, it is important to find a place of understanding of yourself, your true self, and also to find a way to surrender. Now, in my journey, I have recognized that pain, and I'm not talking about the physical pain. That's kind of, I'll just leave that separate for now, because I want to focus on the pain that we feel emotionally um, through disappointment that's happened in our lives. When we feel pain, or when I have felt pain, it is usually because I've realized that I've attached myself to an outcome. There is something specific that I wanted, a specific behavior or a specific response, a specific job, a specific person in my life, just an outcome that I was really obsessed with, that I wanted so bad. It was a deep, deep desire, and I wanted it and I didn't get it. And that kind of determination, that where I put all of my energies, my strength into it, and then I didn't get it, that disappointment is what caused the pain for me, or what tends to cause the pain. And that can be in love, that can be career, that could be anything really, any area of your life where you feel like, oh, this is something that I really want. You know, it could be as simple as wanting a particular dress, going to the shops and they don't have it in your size. Obviously that's not as painful as, you know, the love of your life cheating on you and dumping you, but it is still pain, and in that moment it feels shattering. When I noticed that that's because of attached to an outcome, I realized that backtracking, that I was almost like forcing it, you know, because I wanted it so bad. I did so much to get to that, and almost a sense of desperation. You're like really, really trying hard, and I didn't realize that the problem was not what I wanted. The problem was that I I must have had some signals within me that unless I got that, I wouldn't be happy. Because when I didn't get it, I wasn't happy. I felt the pain. Um, so it just worried me a little bit, because I started to realize that, you know, it's easy to dismiss people and their actions when they're too selfish, and that's led to your disappointment. When we see that people are selfish in this day and age, it is very easy to throw around the term of a narcissist and, you know, toxic narcissistic behaviors and all that. And I I respect the term, even though it's mutated far from Narcissus and his story. But I actually feel that we're all on the spectrum. You know, life is all about spectrum, behaviors, emotions. You know, we're all human beings. So I believe that it's our ego that puts us in certain situations where we are going to exhibit some of these narcissistic traits. It is all about control. So the ego in our mind is so powerful. It wants to control. It wants us to control. It wants us to control certain outcomes, certain situations, and even people and how they respond and behave. And that is a lot of pressure. That is a lot of pressure for someone's mind, you know, and really, do we want to expose ourselves to that? Because the fact is that we can't control anything. Not really, when it comes to other people and circumstances, except learning to surrender and being able to control our thinking and ourselves. That is all we can do. And in some cases, we can't even control it. We can just observe. So what we want to do is, in this lesson, is kind of move away as much as possible from allowing our egoic mind to control our actions, our feelings, our outcome, and reverse it. So if we're looking at pain being a warning, that, you know, we're forcing something, we're controlling it, our egoic mind is regulating something here. How do we move away from that pain? One way, obviously, is to live in the now. So that is a practice that, you know, Eckhart Tolle has helped me with throughout this journey. So in the moment, come back to the moment, and you should not feel that pain because you're detaching from the outcome. You come back, you're centering yourself. But in order to really reverse, I believe what's important is to have faith that whatever is happening not just for a reason, but for your greater good, for our development and the development of our soul, so that we can ascend to higher frequencies, which is what we discussed in lesson 2. You know, as you have your soul waves and we can operate on lower frequency, attracting to ourselves circumstances of lower frequency and exacerbating this perceived pain, we can actually help. These circumstances often help us to elevate our soul waves to higher frequencies so that what we're attracting back to ourselves is of a higher vibrational value and therefore a lot nicer as an experience, which in return perpetuates that faith. So what we really need is to have faith in the very early stages when we haven't really seen the connection between us operating on a higher frequency and us receiving higher frequency experiences. It has happened, we just haven't opened our minds to that yet. We haven't observed that yet. So now that you know what you're looking for, you want to actually see what is coming to you depending on the frequency that you're operating at. So the reversal is to have this faith that whatever is happening and unfolding before your eyes is for your greater good. It could either be an opportunity to learn the lessons we need to learn in order to ascend to higher vibrational frequencies where, for example, we increase our love for ourselves, we increase self-respect. So there's some situations that we have to walk away from that are painful because we've attached to the outcome. But if it's with the person that we are so in love with, who are really bad for us because they treat us like shit and they don't respect us, and it's actually just, something that feels like a mirror to, is this how I'm meant to be treated, and actually walking away from something like that, from a situation like that, can just show you that, no, listen, your value of me does not compare with my value of myself, so I'm just going to walk away from this. And as soon as I do, and as soon as I realize that that's what I'm doing, the self-love and the self-respect is actually trumping the love we had for the other person, because we've just had a realization that the other person is not who we made them out to be. They're not exhibiting behaviors that we want to invite in our life. What we want is unconditional love, the one we have for ourselves, and that will attract further into our lives. So the key to reversing the pain that we have in any situation emotionally is to detach from any outcome. The way we detach from the outcome is to just recognize when we're forcing the issue, recognize when we're pushing, and it's going in a direction where we just keep, the door is slamming back at us, and just accepting that, okay, all right, this door is shut because this door is shutting for a reason. It's shutting because the universe wants us to look elsewhere. And when you see the door shutting, you've got 360 degrees around you. There is plenty of other doors that will open for you. And that's where you want to go. You can explore further, keep your options and your opportunities open. You need to surrender. So we want to have no control over the outcome of certain situations. We want to just accept that this situation does not suit me. It's not good for me. I don't like it. So I want to show the courage to walk away from it. I want to show the courage that I'm not here to please other people. I'm here to please myself. And as I do that, not to feel so worried about being a narcissist, but actually looking at, fulfilling yourself so that your heart is complete without anybody else out there, because you have all of the universe. You have the love of the spirit in you and with you at all times. That is the strength. That is the key. That is where we want to be. So again, it takes that, it takes the strength that we take from our spirit within us to shut up the egoic mind where it doesn't serve us, and more often than not, it will actually not serve us. So we need to almost assume that the ego is bad news Just assume that, it just gives us a little bit of clarity to work with. Assume that the ego is bad news. Assume that anything and everything that we feel we want to control is an egoic tendency to want to attach to an outcome, and then to make a judgment on whether we feel like a winner or a loser, whether or not we, achieve the outcome. We feel great because we won, means nothing about us, but yeah. Or we lost and then we sob, we're a victim, we're sad, and just, yeah. Those two options are extremes that do not give us the balance that we need. The balance that we need is to feel fulfilled and happy at all times, regardless of the circumstances, because that way we're creating what we talked about last time in lesson 2, the soul waves of higher frequency of self-love, self-respect, and love for others. And that high frequency, that is a surefire way of attracting more of high frequency experiences into our lives. And as we do that, we establish more and more of that faith of how we can actually work with the universe. And we have an understanding that when the universe takes something away from us, it does so because it does not want us to attach to that outcome. Never, ever, ever because it doesn't want us to have a good outcome, but because it knows that there is better for us. It knows that that is not your dream guy. There is a dream guy out there for you. And if you're attaching too much to this dream guy, and if you're forcing the issue, and if you're going to stay with him even though he treats you like shit, but you're attaching to it because you're so in love, you are closing yourself off to an experience with an actual great love that wants to love you the right way. And that's the kind of thing that, I have learned in this journey, and that's the message that I want to get across, is that, when we attach to an outcome and it's not happening, then it's not happening because it's not for us. And it may well be a timing thing. It may not be for us in that particular moment because there is still something we need to learn about ourselves. There's something that we still need to strengthen. And if we pay attention to that alert, then we don't have to feel the pain. We don't have to feel any pain of rejection, because there is no rejection here. There is no rejection. There is simply a flow of events that unfold. And if we let them unfold, we come back to ourselves and acknowledge what we need to learn, what this moment is teaching us. And as this moment is teaching us a lesson that we are learning, it moves on and unfolds another experience. And that's usually very rewarding for a lesson that we've learned. And that's why these lessons are important, and I wouldn't ignore them. So this is the lesson 3 on ego and control. Let go where you can. It is important that we just try and go with the flow in order to understand the kind of balance that we need in our lives, in the universe, and our surroundings. But it is a key thing to observe. It is a key, essential part of this journey to acknowledge where the ego starts, where it ends. It doesn't end unless we stop it. So we need to shut it up a little bit and get rid of the need to control, and you will see it will be easy to enjoy whatever unfolds in front of you. On that note, I will leave you to do the exercises in workbook 3 for lesson 3, and I wish you all the best until we see each other for lesson 4. Bye. Dream on, girl.